my talk, it won't be much on the technical side, even though I will use examples from software development. Someone that is not from the industry might relate to what I have to share here. It's about growing, but not burning. We have this urge to do a lot of work and grow professionally, and sometimes we take for granted that that comes with doing a lot of hard work and sweat and tears. And over the course of years, we realize it doesn't happen. We don't get sometimes recognition from those things. So just a short introduction. My name is Paulo Amaral. I work basically as an IT person for 20 years. What I do now, I'm dev manager. I work for a team of 15 people now. Things I like to do, I like cooking, I like playing drums, and I like reading. Those are the things I've been spending most time recently. And my personal purpose is help others to grow and reach the next level. So this is why I like my job, even when things are not going great. I still like what I do because I get plenty of chance to do that. I like being here, sharing those things that I've learned with you for the same reason, and so many other things that I do in my life. They go in this line of this purpose. So to start sharing this story with you, I want to tell a story that might sound familiar, especially for those that work with software development. You can look at this guy, and it looks like he's having lots of fun in something. He's a software developer. Let's give him a name. Let's call him Joe. So Joe is a living legend at work. HR loves to call him rockstar developer, or like they like to say ninja developers. They like to put those labels, right? I don't know if there's someone from HR here. If you are, sorry, and stop using those things. Just a piece of advice from us developers. So picture this: it's Thursday evening, and the client calls the company. They want a demo of the system on Monday morning. Of course, they call the account manager, and the account manager says, of course, what? Yes, right? So now there is a demo for Monday morning, and there is still like 1 month worth of work to do in the system. So they call Joe, which is the rock star, the ninja, to save the day again. Like, it's not the first time, it won't be the last time he will be saving the day. So he pulls like a number of all-nighters. He works his guts off, but after all his hard work, they do the demo on Monday. The client's happy, sign a contract of millions of euros, and Joe gets an amazing tap on his shoulder, like it used to be. I mean, I'm talking from experience, being for 20 years in the industry. That's what actually happened so many times. And 1 month later, it's like nothing happens. Just life goes on as it always used to be. At the end of the year, Joe is expecting a pay rise, a bonus, a recognition for this and all the other times that he saved the day, but guess what? It's just the next year. That's what happens. The next year happens. So 1st of January, what Joe is doing? He's updating LinkedIn, looking for another job, and he doesn't even know what to put on LinkedIn because it's not really clear what has been his contribution to the company, a part of making systems on a rush and fighting fire. Then he's frustrated, he is pissed, he's feeling undervalued. I don't know how many of you have been on similar shows that Joe is now. But sorry buddy, we have bad news for you. That's what happens. Nobody was with Joe on the backstage when he was doing all this hard work. Nobody was there when he was having like a disastrous diet based on pizza and energy drinks paid by the office, shortening his lifespan in 10 years by the course of 4 nights, right? Sleep deprivation, the nightmare of aligning divs vertically, fighting with course restriction, merging things, merging conflicts using Vim, and all those things that we need to do when we're pulling this kind of somersault to save the company. right? He missed, let's imagine he missed a friend's birthday that he wanted to go by the weekend, but then he didn't. He planned a dinner with his partner and it didn't happen. Even he got angry and rude in a phone call because he was stressed out. So there was a whole impact on his personal life, on his health, but it was for the greater good of the company. So he saved the day for the company. His teammates know it was heroic what he did. It was amazing. They want to be Joe in the future. The more junior ones, they want to be Joe one day. Joe's manager knows it was tough because they know the system, but now not so close to know what was his struggle. The CTO knows there was a demo for Monday and it happened. So happy days. The CEO doesn't know like who the F is Joe. Just like another person in the company. There's like 400 people in the company. How can I know who is Joe? He doesn't know who Joe is. So what is happening here? What people see out of Joe's super efforts, the outcome. There was a system to finish to them on Monday, and it was delivered as expected on the date. It was expected. It's just like someone doing his job, right? Nothing really special here, apart from all the struggle that only he experienced outside Joe's mind and outside Joe's bubble. Is just another person doing his job, right? And why does it happen like that? People see outcomes. People don't see effort. Effort has no business value. If something is difficult, it doesn't mean it's valuable and vice versa. Those things are not related. They have nothing to do with one another, right? Extra hours is not extra value. It's extra effort. It's extra, sometimes even suffering, but it's not extra value. It won't be perceived. People should not care for those things, even. So, what I have learned from my experience, and now I'm just talking from the things that I've learned. I'm not here to tell what's the truth. That's what has been my truth, right? And the things that I have to share here, I'm still learning them. I didn't nail any of these things. But what I think that we need to do as developers or any kind of professional that has this situation where you can have this hidden effort and you want to be noticed, because if you don't, that's fine as well. But if you want, you need to be strategic about the effort that you put. So it's not just working a lot. Work on things that bring value to the company, to the business, to the client. Work on different things. Maybe go beyond what is obvious. For a software developer, what's obvious? Program. You make software. You get requirements, Jira tickets, Trello tickets, whatever they are, and transform into pieces of software, increments of software. Right? This is the obvious. What is byproduct that you can produce out of your activity of making software? Right? Can you produce more value out of those things? Or can you make your work smarter? Can you make someone else's work smarter and easier so you can spread the benefits of what you do instead of just doing something very, very hard? And this is not faking work. It's finding diversity in your contribution. So there are different ways where you can find diversity on your contribution. One that I particularly like is breaking the way you perceive work in different dimensions. So if you just see work as work, maybe you do mostly one thing. If you break into different dimensions, into different domains, now you can focus in all of them. I like breaking into execution, management, and administration. And try to have contribution in all of those things during the course of my activities. So execution is the most obvious one. What is execution for a software developer? It's making code, it's writing code, right? Execution for a teacher is being in front of people and lecturing. Like, it's the most obvious thing, and it's the thing that if you don't do at all, you will be fired, because that's the bare minimum expected from you. But those are the things that if you do well on time, you just did your job. If your job is making software and you make it on time with quality, nice. You just did your job. Like there's nothing special about it per se. When it comes to management, so you can contribute as a software developer or another profession in the management dimension. That would be management would be being smart about your work. In the case of software development, something that sometimes we developers we step out, that is requirements. So the requirements for the project are not good, and some people they just complain like, oh, I cannot work with this because I'm missing documentation, I'm missing links, I'm missing designs, right? So step in. We are professionals in the field. We have seen bad requirements. We have seen good requirements. Bad requirement come as our way. Don't start working. Just come back to maybe it's a product owner in the company that does this. Okay, hey, this is not great. That can be better, and I'll tell you how and participate and help. So this is management of the work. You're not making product when you do this kind of thing. So the contributions on the management side, they have great impact. So people can see that having you with them makes a difference in the game. Now, planning software is not the same when you are in the conversation. Another very important dimension of the work is the administration. And administration, I like to see as the things that they don't require much brains, but they are necessary to keep the work, to keep everyone informed, to keep the work progressing, to keep transparency. Those things could be updating Trello, Jira. I don't think I need to ask for a show of hands of who hates Jira, but usually we hate Jira because this is a bit of extra work on top of what we are so busy doing. However, if you keep all the statuses well updated, you make Jira a snapshot of real life in real time. Now people don't need to stop you to ask how things are going. They can go and check. Or if something hasn't had any updates for 5 days, put a comment. No update so far. And every time someone needs to know how your work is going, they won't come to ask you anymore. Maybe in the beginning, and then you send them the link for the ticket. At some point, they know you are very transparent. You keep things on top, and that will show as well as a contribution. You allow people to get informed. You allow people to do something that is amazing, especially for remote organizations, that is self-service inspection. Remote organizations, people are in different time zones, they have different things to do, so you cannot be asking people, maybe they're sleeping. So if you enable self-service inspection, that shows like that when it comes to your work, everything is there for me to check. I don't need to bother you. And those contributions on the administration side, they bring great visibility to what you're doing. So this is one way to strategize the work you do and make it more noticeable the value that you add as you perform your work. And once you manage to diversify the outcomes, then you can uncover opportunities to deliver more value, to make yourself more noticed in the organization, opportunities for learning new skills, for developing new abilities, even for trying new things. Of course, that depends on how the company deals with those things, how much space the company opens for this, but now you are identifying things that you can do. So now your job starts turning from a place where you execute whatever you're meant to as a platform where you can develop yourself, where you can grow. And then you can choose, because you identify many different things you can step on, but nobody's actually really pushing you for doing those things. Maybe it's nice if you do, but you can choose. So now the job really becomes your platform. You just keep sharpening yourself as you go. And you keep sharpening yourself as you are preparing for your next job. You don't need to be looking for another job, but nothing stops you from using the time now to keep improving yourself and sharpening. Because I don't know, maybe you get pissed, or maybe the company closes, or maybe they fire you. What are you going to do? Take a course because you're outdated, or maybe you want to work on a different technology. Now you are unemployed. Finally, you can try something different. But what? are you going to take a break of 2 months to take a different course and learn something new? So you need to keep sharpening yourself, and you make your skills, they are the cause for work, and your work is consequence, not otherwise. Because if you don't do this, the work is the cause, and then your skills are the consequence. I am an example of this. I have been working with PHP for almost the entire time of my career. It's not because I love PHP, it's because, I don't know, the next job was always PHP. And I never really tried to sharpen myself to develop different skills. So that's what it is. It's my fate. You know, things are just going this way. I don't know if it happens to someone else here, but if you have an idea of what are your personal goals, my goal was not to be a PHP developer for the rest of my life. I really enjoyed like developing games, something that I tried a few times, game jams. I had a lot of fun, you know, but I never really invested on this. So here I am, PHP. I'm accepting it. But you can align your personal goals with what happens in the company, and the amount of matches you find defines if you should stay or if you should leave, right? Maybe you are accumulating knowledge in the process, you get involved with things that you would not usually get involved with, you create exposure to different opportunities, you can join different projects, or maybe if you like managing products, you can ask someone from product, hey, can I observe a bit? Can I just see? And then you are absorbing information, absorbing experience from others, until the point that you can develop your own toolbox, your own portfolio of the things that you know. And when you move from I execute something that I'm paid for into my job is a platform. So now it's not about the job anymore, it's about you. You are in this job because you wanted to stay, and you are getting ready for the next one. So if you decide to leave, you feel more confident, you feel more comfortable. So you're making this about your own journey now. So you decide. Of course, it might sound very beautiful and romantic the way I say, and things are not really like this. There is what the company does, and there is limits to that. But still, you can find matches between your personal goals and the company goals, the things that they do. What is essential is observe where you are now. So if you could take a picture, a snapshot of your life, your work life. I won't step into like personal life. This is for each person to decide, right? At least for your work life, see where it is. Now that you can break your work in different dimensions and map different things you can do to contribute, just choose one. Maybe you don't get too much involved in breaking projects in smaller deliverables. Just start doing that. That's a very valuable thing for software developers to do. Not many do. Many people, they just complain, say, wow, this is, how do you expect me to deliver something in 1 week? This is like 2 months worth of work. Fine. So break it into deliverables and find something you can deliver in 1 week, get feedback. So you have this whole control of what is the next thing that you want to do. Find the skills that you want to grow, responsibilities you enjoy. Maybe there's something you just enjoy doing. Maybe you like working with training, and you find some opportunity in the company to step into training, like we're doing here. Like we're just sharing something we know. I know maybe the company, the place I work works with PHP. I don't know if there's something interesting I could share about PHP. Many companies, they don't use Xdebug. They use die with a string, and that's how they debug whatever is happening. But the thing is, if you don't know what you want your next step to be, nobody will know that for you, and then you're stuck. So it's a very good exercise to reflect where I am now and what I want to take as the next step. And if you want to stay, that's fine as well, as long as this is an option. So if you're stuck at mercy of your employer because it doesn't give you opportunities, you know, that's a different thing. But if you want to stay, it's fine as well, if it's your choice. You know, that conversation, you need to be the best version of yourself every day. Like, F this. Maybe I just want to chill. I just want to execute my work day after day, happy, and I'll do something later, as long as this is my choice. So this is my thoughts on how you can create more visibility to yourself, not just to show off or not even pretending work, but creating opportunities to grow in skills, and how you can use your job not anymore as a place where you just suffer and you need to struggle doing something. It's no more your job using you, but you are using your job at this point. Those are very deep points, so I tried to keep it short for the time of the presentation, but I hope this is material for reflection, for future conversations. I left here some key points that I think it was key from the things that I was sharing. The big one, nobody sees your hard work. Like, remember this. I don't know if I'm right saying this, but from my experience, never forget about this. Because many times people won't notice what you're doing, and they don't have to, they won't, they're not there, you know, so nobody sees your hard work, only you see it. People see the outcome. Don't run the extra mile, or not running the extra mile, but running the extra mile is not running longer. You're not running for 5 hours during the night. It's running further. So I develop software, I make code. How can I run further? Participate on projects, participate on discussions, help my account manager to understand why I need to stop for a certain period of time to refactor something, you know, step into those conversations. Drive your career as you go. Don't wait. Your employer will not do this for you. They just want you to work. They just want you to execute and deliver things on time. So that's on you. And use your job as a platform. Match your personal goals with the company needs. Remember, you can always move from where you are. So understand where you are now and just take a step. You can take imperfect steps. Maybe you dream of something that is too big, and it's a gigantic leap to take the step. Take it small. You know, it doesn't need to be the best. Maybe someone look at what you improved and say, what, so that's it? Yeah, well, that's it. Like, you're not in the same place anymore. And I don't know what else you would think of could be key points of these thoughts. And last, diversify your contribution. So I put here 3 suggestions of books. They are on the domain of software development. Kinda. So execution is the output of your work. This book, The Pragmatic Programmers, by Andrew Hunt and Dave Thomas, is a very good book about practices for developing software and being spot on, being practical. Recommend every developer to read this. When it comes to management, Extreme Programming, which has is an amazing book with a horrible name. It should be called Relaxed Programming. I don't know what they call extreme. If you read the book, you will see that it's about not burning when you are producing software as an organization. And it talks not only about developers, but everyone, how people work together. It's a great thing to make you a different person in conversations. And the third one about administration, this is Practical Kanban by this guy called Klaus Leopold. Well, we all work with boards, Jira, Trello, but it's a beautiful tool, it's a beautiful approach if you know how to use. If you don't, you're just moving squares until hopefully they reach the rightmost side of the board, right? But there's more to it, and if you learn how to use the metrics and how to manage this, you also become a different person in the conversations you take part. And that's it. That's what I had to share.
Does anyone have any questions?
So, thank you for your talk. I agree with basically everything you said. However, I've been diversifying my contribution for a while now. I'd say several years, and right now it's biting me in the ass because I find it hard to market myself in a coherent way.
To market yourself in a coherent way.
Yeah, so just to give you an example, if I used to be a dev and now I do DevOps, I did not forget everything I did in my dev years. If anything, they helped me become a better DevOps person. And yet I meet people who are like, what do you do? I'm like, both. And that's sort of like falls flat, you know. And so sometimes I just say, oh, I do DevOps. Like, oh, okay, so I'm the DevOps guy. And I sort of forgets everything. You know, it's like, it singularizes my contribution into one thing. And I'm wondering if you've encountered this or thought about it. Like, is there a coherent way to say, I'm generalizing effectively?
Well, first of all, it depends on the size of the company. So if you have a small startup, everybody does everything. And as the company grows, you start to segment the contributions of people. Then you start having your jurisdiction. So you are a developer, but you understand about DevOps. There are things in DevOps that you use it to do in the startup times that you won't do anymore because you don't have access. If something breaks, you're not accountable for. So usually the companies, as they grow, you tend to focus on something. If you are a generalist and you know about many different things, perhaps your biggest contribution in the company could be not doing things that Simon does, but producing other Simons. So mentoring other developers, mentoring other DevOps. And because you know both things, you can mentor different type of knowledge that is how you work together. Maybe when you was a developer, you missed some kind of interaction with DevOps, some kind of conversations or some kind of knowledge that they could have. And now you are in a position where you can affect both sides. So unfortunately, during your times, could not have been great, the interaction between both. But after, you can contribute to this, like producing more assignments, you know. But I don't know what's the situation in your company.
No, it sort of goes back to like mentoring is great, but then mentoring tends to be one of those things like Joe might be a great mentor, he might spend, for example, a lot of time hearing, reviewing, and so on, and then his manager or whoever is like, but why are you writing code and producing value? And that sort of could just be a case of you need to play sort of a bit of the execution game first, make sure that you don't trigger any stupid proxy metrics, and then sort of afterwards you start to produce value, but it's very backwards.
Yeah, well, if what you want is to be in a position of mentoring people and producing more people like yourself with your skills, and the company is not sharing the same goal, sharing the same vision. So that's the thing. You use your job as a platform, find as many matches you can find from your goals and the company goals, and the amount of matches you can find, that's your thermometer of when it's time to leave. If there's a lot of matching, so you should stay, because you're growing with that. If you cannot find any matches, it could be the case that it's time to leave and find a company that is more aligned with the way you think, a company that would make use of what you have to offer, so you feel happy and motivated, they feel happy, or you're fulfilling what they need. Well, each case a case.
Thank you.
Thank you for the question. Thank you for sharing and for the question. No, any other questions or thoughts?
So maybe it's one for myself. So just to give you an idea. So in my case, I'm a data scientist working in a research group, and essentially I'm surrounded by statisticians and economists, including my own manager.
Mm-hmm.
And so something you referenced a lot in your presentation is, okay, so when I talk to the account manager, or whoever I have to report to, you talk to them, you explain your thing, and explain sometimes why the deliverable is not reasonable within a time frame or not. Do you have any communication tips for communicating with a manager, whoever, or even HR when it comes to your end of year review, about actually explaining what you do to someone who has no idea of what you actually do?
Yeah, well, what I think the responsibility for being understood, it's on the hands of the communicator. When you're having a conversation, when you're communicating something, one person is speaking, and the other person, if they are respectful with the conversation, they just shut up and listen, right? So the effectiveness of that conversation is in the hands of who's talking. Now, if you don't understand anything about economics, there's just a certain amount that you can contribute to that conversation and make yourself understood. I mean, you won't have the same examples to share. So explaining something might require much more words. You need to be more verbal to explain something, maybe more tiring, and making the conversation difficult. So in my opinion, it's important. You don't need to be a specialist in their fields, but if you understand a bit of the general concepts of their field, you can establish a communication in a different level. Even the conversation we are having here, I'm not a native speaker of English, right? So the conversation we are having here, if it was 10 years ago, there are some things I would not understand because I don't have the knowledge about communication elements. So those could be the economy field terms, or then understanding about data science. Maybe they don't want to, and it's difficult. Wow. Each person is responsible for how they contribute in the conversation as well, even as a listener. But it comes to each one understanding a bit of the other person's world. I don't know if that answers or helps with your question. Any other question? Thank you guys.